Welcome to the Birdhouse podcast, where we talk about how to build a business, how to become a better version of ourselves, while we strive to fly up to the higher skies. My name is Alexander Guller, the CEO of the Birdhouse Agency, and I'm your host for this podcast. Welcome to the Birdhouse. Welcome to the Birdhouse podcast. Today with me I have Steven, and for today's topic we're going to talk about personal investment, because yourself is the most valuable asset. So, Steven, we have been on this podcast many times so far, and I love it each time. And today I want to talk about personal investments and how to invest in yourself. So, Steven, can you tell me a little bit about how you invest in yourself?
So with investing in myself, are you talking personality, or talking business development, or are you talking which aspect of myself?
I'm talking about all of the accounts,
in general.
In general, because I think a lot of the personality things you can do actually generalizes, so you can use them both in business and in personal and so on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm a person who I love looking into personalities and how they work together. So whether that's the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities, there's a couple others out there. I'm a person who thinks that everyone should know themselves in order to best know where they fit in. But that also is not a thing that says you will only fit into certain areas. Example. So I am what's called an ISTP on the 16 personalities. And with that being said, it says that I should be a mechanic, woodworker, welder. That's where it says I should do. I am very good at those things, but that's where it says okay, that's where this personality thrives. And I would agree in general that it is, but that's not where I am personally with where I want my career to go. I've had to learn about becoming an introvert to having extrovert tendencies in my everyday life. So, because a lot of what you and I and a lot of people have to do is sales. No matter what job you're doing, you have to do sales. Whether you're selling your idea to your boss, whether you're selling an actual product, whether you're saying, okay, I'm actually worth this amount of money, you're doing sales in some aspect. I think a couple of weeks ago, we talked about sales and relationships as well. And you have to have a little more extrovert tendencies, even though you might be a base personality introvert. So, other ways that I've developed is I constantly am learning. So whether that's reading books, doing courses, I actually got in doing some things through Grant Cardone University. He had a bunch promo that I got for pretty cheap on learning about real estate, learning more about cold calling, learning more about let's see, I'm trying to think of some other programs he has, managing a sales team remote. So I got a bunch of courses from him just to slowly start learning from that.
Yeah, definitely. And well, the thing is, you always have to find a mentor you can learn things from, because they know stuff that you don't, because otherwise you would be in the same place as you are. And I think the thing about the personality test, I think that's a good way to start improving yourself, because when you start to take a personality test, you can see where you look, where you are, and where you want to go. It can be quite more obvious when you know where you start, and so on. And actually, there's also a personality test that's a model that's called the Big Five, which is the one that I'm more familiar about. But along all personality types, it's always about extroversion and introversion, and there's so much in personality. But I think for the baseline, when you need to improve yourself, you always have to. When you're an extrovert, you have some skills that are quite natural for extroverts. But there's also some quite useful skills from being an introvert. And I think that's definitely one of the things that you kind of have to improve. You have to learn the tools, the skills from both boxes, like both from the extroverts and the introverts.
Yes.
And so on. You can do that with all certain types of things. You can also do it with what is called agreeableness, which is the amount of people the amount which you like think about others. Agreeableness means that you are more easy to agree with, and that's the disagreeable, which is more goal oriented and has an easier time saying no, where the agreeable people have more easy saying yes. And that it's all.
Which side of the spectrum are you on that?
I'm definitely I'm on the agreeable side. And the thing about the agreeable is you take much more care about everyone else, and you have easier to take care of and have empathy and sympathy and so on. But the thing is, you can easily be pushed over. You can easily be run over, because if there's anybody that wants it more than you, you're not usually. One of the things I've met is I haven't been good at negotiating for myself, which is definitely something that I have improved. Because I want to learn some of the other tools. Because if you always do what people tell you to do and ask you to do, you never get time to improve yourself. So one of the things that I have needed to learn from the other side of the spectrum, disagreeable, is I have to learn to say no, and I have to learn to orient myself towards what I want, and so on. And because you have both personalities, so to speak, have different uses. Like when you're alone, it's quite useful to be an introvert, and when you're out, it's quite useful to be an extrovert, and so on. So that's both toolboxes you need to have access to, and I think that's definitely one of the things you have to improve through your life.
Yeah. So just go back on, say, the agreeableness. It's not bad to be a yes person. It's not bad to be a no person.
Yeah.
I know I used to be. I've taken this a long time ago. I do not remember exactly where I land on all the scales. But like for agreeableness, I used to be a very like, yes, I'm going to do this for you. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And like was very like trying to be compassionate in that. And in the long run, it taught me that like, no is okay. It's not meaning that I'm not being as compassionate. It's saying I need to take care of myself and my goals, as well as helping other people. So I've kind of gone, I guess, more middle left side of saying, hey, I have limited time, limited energy, and I really want to help. If I can help you in any way, yes, I will. But also, like, if I have something that's a higher priority, I'm not afraid to say no.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the things I can see it by I have an example from today's. My brother is moving, so we have to move some of his musical items. And I was asked if I could help, but I couldn't because I had to prepare for this and other things as well. And that's just prioritizing yourself. So in that way, I had to learn how to be a bit more disagreeable in that aspect. And one of the things you can do, which is more a practical way for me being an agreeable and learning how to be a more disagreeable, is thinking about what do you want and how can you say no. Like, think beforehand, prepare how you're going to say no. Like, okay, today I have to do this. I have to do the podcast. I'm actually also going to get a haircut today. And how much time do I need for each of those? And okay, let's say just for an example, 2 hours before the podcast, I need to take that time. Okay, it's more for the example instead of the specific. And then you just okay, 2 hours before, I can't help. And if
Yeah.
they ask me to help from 1 o'clock, nope, can't do that. I'm busy. I have to do that.
Yep.
So one of the things in the one of the more practical ways is you can write it down to know before it happens. And even if you don't have to use it, you still have it prepared for next time.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
Like for me, in my job right now, it's like I have to take time to prepare for. I have a guy that I'm actually going to be under me tomorrow, and I'm going to be training him for the next couple weeks. So I got to figure out, okay, where are we going? How am I going to train him? What are the businesses that we're going to target? Just different things like that. And so I'm going to take today to basically do some cold calls to warm up the businesses for us going, relook over the scripts so that I make sure I know them so I can train him well and how the system needs to be trained rather than because I always have my personal flair on everything. But scripts do work. And so it's like for me, I have to make sure I'm training him on those and not training him on my personal way how I do it. Because how I do it isn't going to be how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And how it works for you.
Yeah, and for that I also think it's quite good to have like the general baseline, having the script, because then you can teach from that. Like you can, here's the script, you do that, and you do it like this. What I like to do, then in this situation where the script can't follow, I do like this, and I do like this, and I object this handling, and so on.
Yeah.
And I definitely think about sales is definitely one of the things everybody needs to improve themselves in. And as you said, a script is quite good for that, because it helps you prepare for what you need to do. So, and I can't remember the exact quote, but basically everything lies in the preparation. If you can do the preparations correct, there's not much left to do.
Yeah.
So
and then in the situation, it's always just learning and adapting on what you need to do.
Yeah.
After the preparation.
Yeah. All right. So Stephen, how is one of the more specific ways that you invest in yourself?
Recently, I think it's just been, for me, it's been learning on when to say no to things professionally as well. Because as we've talked before, I have a lot of health issues with concussions, with my body, I just have a limited amount of energy. And with that example, last week, the week before Christmas, I did a full week's worth of work. I did a little over 40 hours. I was doing stuff in the evenings. I went to Caitlin's graduation, went to her grad party. And by the end of that, I was completely wiped out. I was like get away from me, people. Like I cannot deal with anything type of thing. And so for me, I'm learning, okay, I have to stop around 2. So I have to get a full day's worth work between 9 and 2 instead of trying to make it from 8 to 5. So I just learned, okay, I have to work a little bit faster in a short amount of time so that I can recover from that so I can function in everyday life.
Okay.
And so and I've talked to like the owner of the company I'm working for right now, myself, like saying, hey, it's okay if I'm able to get all my numbers between that time.
Oh, sounds good. I'm glad for it. And I also think. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
When we talk about investing, I see it like 2 ways. You can improve what you are doing, or you can clear what is a hindrance for you.
Yeah.
And so one of the more practical ways for me right now is I'm counting calories. I'm trying to lose weight, and in other words, I'm trying to cut the diet. I'm following a diet where I cut down on the amount of food I had, and I don't put that much junk in my body, and I can feel it clear out. And when my body's clean, I can also think more clearer. So that's also a thing that you can consider. You're back at your homes, boys and girls. And some of the more practical ways I do, other than going to diet, is once you mentioned it before, is books. You can learn a lot of stuff from books. And I think about the quote: the person who can read but don't read don't have any advantage over the person that can't read.
And that's true.
Yeah, it really it really struck me, because I think that's so right. Like, if you don't read, you don't use your reading ability to learn more stuff, learning something new, you're never going to improve.
Yeah. I think about nowadays, we have all the information in our hands that we need, but so many people don't know how to use this device for good. They're just contacting social media. That's all they do, is try to like connect with people, but they're not doing it in a way that's healthy or good. Rather than saying, hey, I can listen to audiobooks on the road. I can do look up things. I can do schooling on here. I can do this. I can do that. Like, we are the smartest and dumbest like generation. I know that might sound weird, but like, we have so much information at our hands and no one knows how to tap into that. And it's kind of scary, because you're like, you have Google at your fingertips, yet you can't learn how to do XYZ.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it boils down to what you're choosing, because you always have a choice. And if you choose to scroll, you scroll. And the bad thing about that is the scroll is meant to make you addicted. Like,
want to scroll more.
Yeah, want to scroll more. It's so easy. It's just a finger up and down.
Which I think how TikTok did that is our goldfish memory.
Oh yeah.
It's a 30-second to 15-second minute video, and you go to the next one and you're like, hey, I accomplished something. And so you're wanting to spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours on it a day, because you're getting little dopamine hits.
Yeah. And our dopamine is going skyrocketing when you scroll. And dopamine is quite addicting. And I also think one of the things you can instead of scrolling, you can read. All the time that you can scroll, you can also read. So that's definitely one of the more practical ways to improve what you're learning, improve the rate of your learning. And actually, back to the attention span, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was our general attention span have gone from 12 seconds to 8 seconds over the past 10 years, I think.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like much, but a third is much.
Yeah, because there's so much like out there that's like, hey, I want your attention here. I want your attention here. Mm-hmm. As kids, we're always bouncing from one toy to the other, rather than saying, hey, here is the thing that you're going to focus on. Mm-hmm. Like for me, it's like when I have kids, I don't want them to have rooms just packed with toys. I want to just bring out 2 or 3 toys for them to play at a time, so that they're constantly using that and like able to focus on that, rather than going trains. Oh, look, there's a car over here. Oh, look, there's a doll over here. Oh, look, there's a plushie over here. Oh, look, there's a TV there. Rather than saying, okay, it's time to play with trains. It's time to play with this. It's time to play with this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many choices that you're drowning in the choices. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways you can also invest in yourself is going to take some online exercises, taking exercises at home, reading exercises, courses, and so on. And as you mentioned, you have done some Grand Cologne university. Well, and you talked about sales. So how was that?
It's pretty good. I'm just getting into it. I got it right before the holidays, like that I started. So I haven't been able to get too far into it, but like I've been able, what the little bit I've watched, I've gotten a lot of good information from because I'm going to be managing sales teams here soon. And so I need to like really understand, okay, how do I most effectively manage that from a distance? Because I'm not going to be able to see you every single day if I'm managing you. So how do I do that?
Oh, sounds good. Yeah, and so you saw that you're going to be in a more leader position and leader and management position, and then you of course need to learn some of the more manageable management skills. Yeah, and the thing nowadays, there's so many online courses. Some of them are scam, but most of them actually are quite good. And even if you pay a lot of money for it, even if there's only one golden nugget in it, it's still worth finding it.
Yeah.
Same with the book. What, sorry?
I would say the main thing for doing any of the online courses is finishing it up, like going and completing it start to end. Any diet, any exercise program, any learning program, any just program in general, 99% of the time it works. It's just you have to do it start to finish.
Oh yeah.
You can't just do start to the beginning and say, oh, it's not working because you haven't gotten to any of the meat, any of the progress. You're not going to see that till you're done.
And I totally agree with you. You have to put in the work. People can show you what to do, but if you don't put in the work, that's just no good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, actually, there's a study that has found that when you get into new experiences, if when you experience something new and maybe you jump out of a goddamn plane, I don't know, it doesn't have to be specific, but your body actually unlocks some of the locked coded proteins. So actually, when you go into new experiences, your body unlocks the code for coding new proteins. So you can actually build another person.
Absolutely.
Well, when you do another experiences, and I also think about you have to push yourself in the same way you can't stay in your comfort zone. You have to go out of it. You have to continuously push yourself, and remembering that your fears don't control you. You have to push yourself to it and put yourself into new experiences where you can learn a lot of things and also learn a bit more about yourself.
You have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm more comfortable with the uncomfortable than I am with the comfortable. If that makes sense. So
yeah,
I'm more comfortable trying to learn new skills and go into different areas than doing the same thing for a long time, which I need to learn a little bit how to thrive in the comfortable, because there's going to be things that are going to need to be the same throughout my life. But there's also like things that's like, okay, business and development, like I need to go into the unknown and the uncomfortable.
Yeah. And what is one of the ways that what is one of new experiences you want to do?
My thing is I just want to effectively run a team and be able to do that. That's because like I've been able to do that in the past. I just haven't been able to benefit from it. If that makes sense. So I've been able to run the teams, but I was never like compensated for it. I wasn't like, it was kind of just like, okay, I ran it did well, and then I got screwed over. And so in the position that like I'm in now, I get compensated for it because it's all on commission. And so anything that my team does, I get a chunk of that. And that's kind of like where I've wanted to be for a while. And so like it's uncomfortable being in a place where you only get money based on how you perform, which a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. But guess what? You literally make your worth.
Yeah, and mate, you can really build some worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your eyes just went like, yeah.
There's a deal that probably won't happen for probably another year just because it's so like large, but it's like if I make that deal, like it's gonna be 5 times what I made in my lifetime. Period.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it's kind of a thing where it's like, well, there's money here. So how do I tap into it?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Do you ever role play when you use the sales process? Sorry.
Some.
Okay.
So for me, I do the enough role play where I know like the general like script of it. So I'd be like, "Hey, I'm Steven from XYZ company. How you doing today?" And then for me, I always try to find something like personal I can go. It's like, "Oh, how was your Christmas? The weather outside? What's your favorite thing that happened this week?"
Yeah,
Like a
billing
really
report.
like simple, quick thing that makes me relatable to them because as a salesperson, it's very easy for people just to go, no, your sales, get out.
Yeah.
But if you're able to unlock that potential, that door slowly opens. Um, and so like for me, it's for the role playing, it's like, okay, I know the general script, and then I like to just be thrown into the deep end and do it. So how I was trained was like went around with somebody, and like the fourth business we went to, I was on my own. Like he was like there with me, but like I was saying, "Hey, I'm Steven. I'm with XYZ company. How you doing today? Can I have the information for this person and all of that?" Which is pretty much most like sales scripts when you're trying to get into the door. And so it's just kind of thing where it's like, okay, I just went right into it. And so that's how I did it. And how I'm training my teams is I'm going to do a little bit of role play, and then I'm going to just show them how it's done.
Okay. Well, I think earlier when you talk about the questions, it's building rapport, and the reason why you have to build rapport as a salesperson is people don't buy from salespersons; they buy from friends.
Yeah.
So you have to be friends with them, and that way they will buy. If they like you, they will buy.
Yep.
Unless they really don't need it, but then you shouldn't be on a sales call with
Absolutely.
them. So people don't like salespersons, but they will buy from a friend.
Yeah, and a lot of there's definitely some like harsh salespeople out there, but in general, most salespeople are genuinely nice people.
Yeah,
And you just have to get past that initial like you're coming into this why to being like, oh cool, like I either need that product or I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And there is definitely some salespersons that are way too harsh and aggressive. I think you can, and that scares people off often. But
Absolutely.
as a salesperson, you have to be the man with the plan.
Absolutely.
And that's what works, and you just have to do it, be it, and so therefore you also need to understand people's problems, and one of the ways you get to know the problem so you can bring a solution is getting friendly with them, so they want to talk to you, and they actually want to tell the truth with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's definitely a valuable aspect of it.
Yeah. So I have one more question for you. What's something this year that you look back onto that you thought either was a mistake, something that you messed up on, and what came out of it? And the reason I'm asking that is because failure is a good thing. There's always opportunity that comes out of it. Lessons, jobs, all of that. Because for me, I'll just go for me first. Probably one of the biggest like development is I like I ran out of steam for my own business and I got this insurance job. That was probably one of the best things that came out of it because I became surrounded by a team that actually wanted to help me develop professionally. And that was like a huge mistake for me that I thought was like going to be like the end of the world, was like for me running out of steam. But no, it wasn't. It was a next like phase that I needed to go into business wise, because I'm able to do my own business, but I'm also able to do insurance as well.
Have you heard the Chinese story of the man with the horse?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay.
I can't think of it.
I most likely heard it, but
I think that the story goes, so there's a Chinese man that has a horse. And one day the horse ran away, and the rest of the town comes along. Oh, that's terrible. That's really terrible. And the Chinese man was like, maybe, I don't know. The next day, 7 wild horses came back to him. And the town was quite cheerful and was like, good job. Nice for you. And the Chinese man was like, I don't know. Maybe. And the next day, one of his children ran out and rode on the horses, but he fell down and broke his leg. And the rest of the city came along and said, that's quite terrible. Your son broke your leg, broke his leg. That's terrible. I'm sorry for you. Well, yeah, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's bad. I don't know. And the next day, the military officer came and wrote the young people up. But when he saw the child with the broken leg, he went along. He didn't sign that child up because, of course, he couldn't join the military because he got a broken leg. And the moral of the story is like, you don't know always what's bad and what's good for you, and how it's going to affect you for the rest of your life. Because yes, there was a lot of upsides and downsides. It's not really pleasant to get a broken leg, but so you don't know how it's going, how it goes to affect you. Like he avoided a war. Like I think I would still choose a broken leg over a war. So you don't know what it brings, and you don't know what it affects you. So I just thought that was quite great.
Yes,
to tell in this aspect.
Yeah, what's something that in your life that's been a blessing in disguise?
A blessing in disguise.
Basically what I said and what the story said. So it was like something that you didn't think that was going to be a blessing.
In disguise. In disguise.
Yeah, in disguise.
In disguise.
Not in disguise. In disguise.
Well, that's actually a good question. Well, what is that? I think some of my work as in the youth network, the volunteer place I work with, it takes a bit of hard work sometimes, and I haven't always been as excited about it. But because of do this work, I get a lot of invitations for other quite fun events. So because I've done some of the work that is not always as fun, I've gotten some great opportunities and some networking and gotten way more influential. So I don't know, maybe that.
Cool.
I can't think.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something.
Yeah. Is there anything else? No, I can't think of anything on top of my head. So
cool.
So what about you? Other than, do you have anything else than the losing interest for your work?
So another like major. So I was talking with my dad. It was like, with all the relationships I've had, the like breakup I had last summer, not this summer, but the summer before, like that was a blessing in disguise because I was able to focus on my like business professional development because I was like kind of holding it back because I thought like, oh hey, I want to get married now. Like I'm not able to like do what I need to do. I just need to go make like money and get into a dead end job, all of this. And because of that, like I was able to get into a startup. Like I learned a lot of lessons through it, even though I got like a little bit screwed over. I met like my girlfriend now that we're getting really serious and all of this and like amazing. Everyone in my family loves her. Like for me, like that's just the other huge thing that happened was like if I stayed with who I stayed with, I would not be like happy or be where I'm at today or on the track that I'm on today. And so like as much as that hurt and I love like the still like have like there's always going to be a special place in my heart for everyone who I've dated. Like it's not because it's not like I hate any of them. There's one of them that like I wish I kind of realized it a ton sooner because it turned very toxic. But like I still like wish the best for her, even though like I'm probably not going to speak to her ever again. So like it's just kind of things where it's like okay, like there is something better out there for me and I couldn't see it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you don't know what life has in store for you. I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's still true.
Yeah.
And also, when you talk about those your ex-girlfriends, I think it was Tupac who had the quote where, like, just because I don't talk with you doesn't mean I don't want the best for you. I still want you to eat good, but I just don't want you to eat at my table.
Yeah.
I don't think it's true. Yeah, but I don't think it's part of Tupac though. But
no, I know. I've heard that saying. I don't think it's from Tupac, but yeah. So, but that's very true because like there's a lot of friends that I've had that's like, okay, I wish the best for you. I just wish you don't eat at my table again.
Yeah.
It's just we don't see eye to eye. Another thing is a lifelong friend is not necessarily a best friend, and a best friend's not necessarily a lifelong friend.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I've had to cut ties with people that like I absolutely love and adore, just because it's just not the right season, and like I wish the best for them, and like if I eat at the same table as them, amazing, great. But it's not the season for me to like be necessarily be close friends with them. And I've had to come to terms with that because guess what? A lot of people are graduating. A lot of people are moving into new jobs, moving to new places and all of that. And I can't keep up with 20 different people in 20 different cities, like at a close personal level.
Yeah. And
it's kind of thing where it's like, okay, that's something that I have to learn because again, it's like you've been my best friend for a season, but you're going to be a lifelong friend because of that, but you're not going to be like in my life the whole time.
Yeah. And it goes back to the first thing, some of the first things we talked about is you have to prioritize yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, that means cutting off some of your friends and even some of the lifelong friends you have. But just because you cut them off for a period doesn't mean you don't get back to them. Yet again, it just means that right now you can't focus on them. You have to focus on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Bedros Keuilian, which had like a 7-year period where he didn't spend any time with some of his old school friends, and after the 7th year, he was like, "Hey, do anybody of those want to hang out?" And now he serves with one of his teacher friends. So that's actually quite nice. And that just proves that you can cut ties with them, but if they're still your friends if you still think about them as your friends after 7 years, they probably are. Hopefully they are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but I think the most valuable asset is yourself, and that means you have to improve yourself and invest in yourself. And sometimes that can mean that you have to cut ties, you have to cut your hindrances, and or you can improve your skills. So that you can either improve yourself or make sure that you don't have obstacles.
Yes.
Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Birdhouse Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, follow me on my Instagram @The Birdhouse Agency and share it to your friends and family or rate it on Apple Podcast or Anchor. My name is Alexander Gulager, and I will see you at the next episode.